You descend into the stony depths beneath the earth, the cellar of the farm. The farmers have been generous and kind, but something just doesn't sit right in your gut. They're hiding something, you know it. Down here in the cellar, the dust and the decay fills your lungs with every breath. But there is something here, something out of sight. You just know it to be true. Looking around, it seems ordinary, forgotten items, broken things. But oh look, you got a nat 20 on your investigation roll. Well, with that, you run your hands across the cold stone of the wall, and your eyes catch the faintest of details. One of the bricks, it's not dusty, it's smooth, one more than the others. You bring your hand to it and press gently, and you feel it react. It pushes into the wall, and you hear the grinding of a mechanism as a secret passageway opens up. A dark tunnel with a faint light at the end. You steel yourself, and you go deeper into the earth. Welcome back to It's Business Crime. It's me, Mike the Mapmaker, and you have just discovered the secret under the farm. That's right, it is an underground, hidden crime base. A place for criminals and ne'er-do-wells to meet safely from prying eyes and plan out all sorts of mischievous heists and jobs. This is a perfect location for you as a DM to run all sorts of crime shenanigans at your tabletop RPG adventures. Your players will turn up here, they can maybe sell their ill-gotten wares, pick up skullduggery quests, maybe annoy the local crime boss. The world is at your fingertips. You can do all sorts of criminal stuff and the police won't even know it. So stay tuned for episode 11 as I walk us through this brand new exciting crime map. So we're going to start off with the surface farm map. This is why in the last video I actually took the time to set up a little bit of foreshadowing for this video with the big rocks and where the well was positioned. This is a vertical map, so it's underneath the farm. I just wanted that verticality to play out through both of the maps so you can see exactly where this map is oriented underneath the top one. So those rocks and that well, yeah, they help us ground the map. And now I go around and I sketch out what this map is going to look like. And this is kind of the closest I've got to actually doing a dungeon map for my Dungeons and Dragons channel, I suppose. I'm making this crime base and I'm thinking, yeah, this could be a great place for your players to hang out if they're doing a criminal element. But I'm also thinking, like, wait, if they're not being criminals, they're just regular upstanding heroes, well, this would be a great place to use as maybe a final boss in a quest where you're going to take down a criminal syndicate, something like that. So there's lots of stuff we can do with a map like this, so I was really excited to kind of get on this one. And what do we have? Well, it's an underground cavern combined with a few structures that this thieves syndicate have put together. There's a bit of a little reservoir underneath where the well draws up water. I've deliberately left it open-ended so that you can extend this into the Underdark if you want, maybe have some more dungeons or natural hazards. And of course, you know I love a good toilet. Well, we're connecting a toilet with this map. There is an outhouse directly above that weird green splodge there, and there's another one over the water as well for the criminals to use. So yeah, you got double the toilet fun for this map. I don't know why this is becoming my signature thing. I might need to consider moving away from that, but I just love it. And I'm adding a lot of filth and grossness as all that runs down into the water. Don't worry, don't drink from there. That's just where it's going to end up. And I actually spend a bit of time kind of affecting the wildlife, the nature in this cavern. Got a bit of mushrooms growing around the filth and depravity. Now, I really liked making this map. This map I got to use a lot of piratey themed stamps. So we've got lots of wooden structures that are very haphazardly put together. And I think it adds a lot lot of character to something like this. So yeah, this could potentially be a huge base dungeon that you play as Assault, but if not, and this is somewhere they hang out, I kind of wanted it to be quite cozy, a little bit like a pirate shanty town, without the pirates, I guess. So I've mapped out the overall layout of the map. We've got a huge cavernous room with a few nooks and crannies here and there, a lot of water, a nice little water feature, and the back rooms, that's where they've dug out. And as we go through the map, you're going to see that's kind of still under construction. The shop is still having the floor tiled. I'm going to add lots of tools and things to that. And that was very cute to map out. I do enjoy making little stories like this. But right now we're on the main room, and this is a hangout spot for the criminals. It's also like a place... It's also a place where they have lots of utility, so they've got a big storage area with crates and nets and chests and barrels, all that good stuff that I love to slap down. And it's also got kind of a lumberjacking area, woodworking area, where they chop the wood, and that's what they're using to make the jetties and the rooms in the back and the furniture and things like that. Some of the cavern hasn't been conquered. We got a little nook with lots of spider webs and things, maybe a great place to hide if you're trying to sneak in and you've been detected. We've got a little kitchen area out here as well. One of the things I've done to decorate this massive cavern, because the floor texture can get a bit boring after a while, is of course add a bit of dirt and mud, but also these big planks of wood. They serve a practical purpose, making this slippy, humid room easier to walk around, but also I think it makes it look pretty cool and fun. I love going to forests and seeing them on the floor when it's muddy, it's very satisfying. We've got a little chopping block there where they've been chopping the wood and they've been bringing it down here. It must be quite a big operation. So the farmers, I think, definitely are involved. I'd be really surprised if the farmers above had no idea of all this going on underneath. And with this map, it's probably one of my biggest. Maybe it is the biggest. I haven't actually double-checked that. It's almost certainly got to be the biggest, maybe. But yeah, this one's really big, so it took a long time to do. And I actually did it ages ago. I did this over like 6 months ago, something like that, right when I started the channel. And I've been quite patient with it. I was really happy with the end result of this one. I was kind of getting into the swing of things, and I thought this one came out really well. I even liked just like the basement room by itself. I thought was quite dramatic. In the basement room, I've got this tile effect over the mud effect, so you can do some clever laying with Inkarnate. It's bloody beautiful. So here we are in the shop, and we've actually got a bit of a landslide. Those big pillars outside there right next to the porch of the farm, and they're holding up this room. And you can see there's lots of dirt and debris everywhere. This feels like it could collapse at any moment. But they're still cracking on tiling up the place. And in fact, they've got lots of tiles down here and all the hammers and things. So yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. And I kind of imagine this room to be a shop. So this is a shop your players can go to, not for the general stuff you'd get in town, but for all that underworld goodness. Things like caltrops, what are they called? Those spinny rope things that Catwoman uses. I'll superimpose the word in 3, 2, 1. Bowlers. There we go, that, you could sell those things. Of course, you got weapons and all sorts of strange items and poisons and things like that. Just anything illegal for our players to buy from the town shops. So this is our messy, messy shop. This is a great place for them to tool up, and maybe it's a great place as well to actually sell anything they've stolen. Because a big problem you have as a criminal in these types of games is you steal from the general shop. Well, the general shop is where you sell and trade things. You can't trade it back to them. They'll catch on instantly. So you need a place like this to get rid of those things. And if you get caught by the cops holding them, well, that's never good. So hot goods, they gotta go, and this is a place that you can go to. So underground, I'm adjusting these rooms, and I really wanted them to be different shapes and look a little bit all over the place. These aren't professionals, they're criminals making this out of necessity, and so it's a bit all over the shop. So now I'm adding and detailing these funky rooms. They're all different shapes and sizes. I quite like that. Makes each room feel like its own special beast. And that tiger skin's clearing you in. That's going to be our big boss's room, but we'll come to that later. Before then, I want to go in and add a bit more splashy splash to the water, adjust a few things here, and then we're going to move into the middle of the map. In the center, we have a little bit of a tavern, an underground criminal den. Of course, you can get into a game of high-stakes poker. We've included a little broken piano. Maybe a player with the spell Mending can try and fix that. I love that cantrip, and I quite often try to include just broken things around my sessions, just in the off chance they remember they have that cantrip and want to repair something. You can make a lot of money using Mending. I mean, that's a video for another day. So the basement over here, you've already seen it in this video and the last, but it's full of that rubbish and broken down things, as well as a bunch of mannequins. So it looks like what you'd expect for the basement of a farm, maybe, with a bunch of stuff they haven't been able to repair. But I liked the mannequins because it made it a bit creepy, made it a bit spooky. It's like, what's going on with it? Why these farmers have a bunch of mannequins? If your players go down there, they don't even know it's there. Just clues them in that maybe something's not quite right with this farmstead. Now, at the beginning of the map, I suggested that the secret button to open the secret door was just like a piece of rock on the wall or something. You can place it wherever you want. It's one of those details I've kept ambiguous and vague. Let me know in the comments, where would you hide the secret button? Down at the south, well, another benefit of having a criminal underground base is if you're a criminal and you're being chased by the police, that can be exhausting. Town guard on horseback chasing you wherever you go, bounty posters everywhere. Well, guess what? You can stay down here for a small exchange of coins on these lovely hammocks. I think this room's lovely and cozy. I'd love to sleep down here. We've also got a bit of an arcane laboratory. So all the strange stuff that you can buy in the shop, well, this is where they brew it up. All the poisons and illegal potions and things like that. You got someone at the back working on it, and there's all sorts of alchemical agents back here. And it's a bit of a messy station. There's stains all over the floor. They're not cleaning it up as much as they should. And this operation, well, it's constantly expanding. So I'm actually digging out a little bit more. I'm going to add in a moment to the southeast a small cave where they're digging in and trying to make a new room. I'm going through and reinforcing everything with these wooden blocks, and I love it. It gives it a bit of a kind of the feeling of being in a mine, you know? Reminds me of like Donkey Kong Country, those beautiful mine levels. They're some of my favorite. I kind of wanted to evoke that in this map as well. Okay. So I make out a little room, put the walls as caves, and you're done. It's so easy. But this is, again, a messy map. I mean, all my maps are messy, if we're going to be honest. Lots of soil and dirt everywhere. It's constantly under construction. We've got junk and rubbish. So I had to add a little tunnel to get around to the boss's room. But as we're going through, I'm feeling jazzed about this map. I think it's very evocative and fun. So yeah, this map, like the other maps I've made, is completely free to download. You just got the link down below, so make sure to double check that. But yeah, we've got a bunch of little rooms here, and a lot of these passages I'm thinking could have some ramshackle traps in them. Nothing fancy, but these are paranoid criminals. They got a lot of swag. Most of it is kept in the big boss's room. The guy running the operation. These big treasure chests. I'm going to actually bring out a few massive piles of gold, which is very fun. Love the way that looks. So yeah, even in the underground and with Thieves' Honor, you're definitely going to want a few traps if you're the big boss. Don't want anyone trying to sneak into your room. So I'd maybe throw them in. I'm going to leave that to your discretion as a DM. If you've gotten this far as an adventurer, you're really deep in the base, but if you've gotten this far in the video, well, maybe you need to drop a like and subscribe. I'm a very fresh YouTuber. I've not got many subscribers. A like, a comment, just hitting the bell, all that good stuff. Well, it helps me out a lot, you know, keeps this crime boss afloat. For the record, I'm not a crime boss. I don't do crimes. This is a map-making service. I don't do anything illegal. Back to the show. And we're going around now, and I'm kind of focusing on the water, adding a few more details and rocks. Really, the water in Inkarnate, it all boils down to these little waves you add to them. The rippling makes it feel quite real, and like it's a fluid, moving object instead of just a static blob of blue, which sometimes it can look like. So you got to just spend a time, but you got to just spend a little bit of time going over it and making it look the business. And what I find quite an interesting struggle, a little bit of a challenge, is trying to blend the textures into the water. So we've got that water trickling down, so I have to add lots of extra detailing to make it look somewhat realistic. Of course, this is a dank cavern. I'm going to be dropping all sorts of puddles here and there. I love that little detail. It kind of sells it visually for your players. And it gives you something as a DM to kind of base your senses around. whenever you enter a room or new location, it's always good to be like, oh, you smell, you play as you go in the room, you smell, it's dank in here. It's dank, like bad laundry. And then the players are there, they're living it, and I like doing that. I like just preloading maps with that sort of detail. Now we're going around doing the minutiae, going and dealing with all the outside of the map, making it a uniform texture so it looks good, and adding the shadow and the lighting like you know I love to do. I think this is what really makes it pop. But it's a balance. You don't want things to be too dark so your players and DM can't see what they're doing, but you don't want it to be too bright. We lose that sense of lovely atmosphere we want with these maps. We've got a little storage corner around here. It kind of looks a bit like Among Us now, so there you go. But it's a good place where you could then put another trap. I think that little short corridor, that's the trick. You want to go the long way, or maybe you get a bear trap on your foot or something. If anyone tries to break in like the city guard, that could slow them down. So we're kind of running out of things to talk about. Let me just check my notes real quick. What have we got? So yeah, with this map being so big, I actually wrote down all the rooms I wanted in this place. I didn't know how it was going to come out and be fully arranged, but I knew I wanted these certain rooms in there somewhere, and I just started kind of painting it on and figuring it out as we go. I think it's quite nice to go organically with your map making and just not worrying about it too much. So this map is absolutely enormous. I've actually had to cut it down a little bit just because it was so much footage, and I've sped it up quite a bit as well. But you get an idea of just how much time this sort of thing takes you. This took me well over 10 hours to put together. Yeah, as I said, I've been sat on this for a while, because when I made it for about episode 4, and then I was like, this is way too good to be episode 4. This is feeling more like a kind of season finale type of episode. So I thought I'd save it later in the video series. Okay, we're about to wrap up this video. I am now just making the nighttime variant. Even underground, you have a nighttime variant. I get rid of the lights above coming through the well, and I'm lighting all the braziers around the place, giving it an even more cozy vibe, if that's even possible. And I think we're about there. Let's take a closer look at some of the scenes. And that brings us to the end of another episode of It's Business Crime. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Next episode is going to be the season finale. That's right, we're entering what I'm calling Season 1 of It's Business Crime. And I'm going to try and tie some of these maps together and give you an adventure you can play at your table. So that sounds good. Keep on trucking, and I'll see you next time.